The United Nations Security Council has failed to reach any formal agreement after discussions on the Israeli military operations in the Gaza Strip, despite several members expressing serious concern at the escalation of violence. The U.S. blocked the approval of a UN Security Council statement calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Li Chunxia has more.
Nearly 4 hours after a closed meeting, members of the UN Security Council walked out with nothing to show for their efforts.
There was no formal agreement among the members of the Security Council.
Arab nations had called on the Council to adopt a draft calling for an immediate ceasefire following Israel's launch of a ground offensive in Gaza earlier on Saturday. But the U.S. vetoed the initiative. U.S. envoy Alejandro Wolf said there was no point in issuing statements that Hamas would ignore. The president of the UN General Assembly issued a strong condemnation of Israel's ground invasion, while also directing his anger at other targets.
This is a real shame, but people are dying.
Beginning of the ground
attack. I think it's a monstrosity. There is no other way to name it. And what is worse is that once again, the world is watching in dismay the dysfunctionality of the Security Council. And because there are some members of the Security Council that are trying to protect their own political interest. This is a real shame, but people are dying.
The Palestinian UN observer also couldn't hide his disappointment over the fruitless meeting.
Even if there is a possibility of a political process on the ground between the parties there, it is the business of the Security Council to deal with a situation threatening international peace and security. We have war. We have aggression against the Palestinian people. And it is a sad and tragic moment when the Security Council cannot address this issue by at least demanding from Israel, the occupying power and the aggressor, to stop this aggression immediately and for their forces to return to the places where they came from before the beginning of the ground aggression.
Council members also voiced concern over the humanitarian situation in Gaza. They called for efforts to ensure free access to the area so that supplies could be shipped to people in need. Li Chunxia, CCTV.
And UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said on Sunday he had recalled his special Middle East peace envoy to New York for briefings and convened a meeting of senior advisors on the Gaza crisis. Ban said he planned further talks with council members and Arab leaders as well to try to end the fighting. And he also asked Israel to open 3 border crossings to allow grain, power plant fuel and other essential supplies into Gaza. And the UN has so far been unable to reach a consensus on ending the Gaza crisis as Israeli tanks continue pushing deeper into the Strip. But many voices from the West Bank are condemning what they consider Israel's brutal aggression in the area. Zhang Yajing has a story.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has harshly denounced the Israeli military offensive on Gaza. He also expressed his regret that Sunday's emergency UN Security Council meeting was not able to halt the bloodshed.
This council was held, and although it did not achieve anything, it had to be held in order to stop the bloodshed of our people and to stop this aggression against our people.
Abbas said Palestinians will continue appealing to the UN on the issue. Meanwhile, Hamas has threatened to get revenge on Israel's forces.
We predict that Gaza will become a graveyard for the Israeli army, God willing. The Israelis might be successful with their airplanes and tanks and bombardments, but they can never break the will and the strength of the Palestinian people.
On Sunday, Israel's ground forces continued fighting in rural communities they claimed to be staging areas for launching Hamas rockets. Gaza officials say at least 31 civilians were killed during Sunday's onslaught. Zhang Yajing, CCTV.
You're watching NewsHour. Coming up next, a suicide bomber killed at least 38 people outside that shrine in northern Baghdad. And the Sri Lankan military is pushing forward with an offensive to crush Tamil Tiger strongholds.